Peter Taylor, the Lazy Project Manager, talks social project management for ProjectManagement.com, powered by PMI.
Hi there, my name is Peter Taylor, but you may know me through my alter ego, the author of The Lazy Project Manager. But today I'm not talking about lazy project management, I want to talk to you about social project management. This is an emerging and evolving world, and through this series of videos we will together explore this world, this exciting world, and what opportunities it can bring us as project managers. But there is a challenge. We have to find out a way of balancing the social collaborative world with the need for centralized control and governance in this very project driven world. So join me and explore the world of the social project manager. And then, of course, after the project manager, then comes the challenge of the social project world. It's kind of it's one of those things that's kind of a leap of faith. You've got to be committal. Yeah, maybe you've come across this, but one of the challenges of the kind of more agile world is the fact that organisations kind of tepidly partially enter the kind of agile world, and as a result of that they're neither one thing nor the other, and you get a horrible mess. The same is true for the social project world. You've got to leap in, you've got to commit. So there's kind of a degree of trust that this will work, trust that your project team will collaborate in the way you want them, trust that your project team members will connect, that trust that the organisation will support you in what you're doing. I get it. I totally get it. This is a big one. But without that leap of faith, without that act of trust, it's just not going to happen. You're going to fail. And that's one of the challenges, really. When we go back to that kind of balance between centralised control and decentralised collaborative engagement, and if an organisation does not encourage the correct balance between the two, the social project world isn't going to be a world that they're going to enjoy or gain any value from. And I think the other thing is that communication is at the heart. It's at the heart of what you do as a project manager. You know that. You know that as well as I do. Communication is 70, 80, 90% of what we do. But it's a huge amount for a project manager to be communicating. And communication in the modern social world is always on. Always on. These days digitally we are being communicated with and to and from and around and all of that stuff. It's happening all the time. Literally, as I'm sitting here recording this video, I am being communicated with, whether that be linked messages. We use a social tool called Chatter inside our organisation, whether that be emails. It's possible the phone can start ringing, my mobile can start ringing, etc, etc. Or I could be copied on something. Communication is always on. And one of the great leaps really for social project world, one of the great challenges that needs to be overcome is, one, to accept that communication is always on, and secondly, to trust that communication is self-correcting. If you think of a more traditional structure, you start at the top, you push communication down, you control it, you manage it, you validate it all the way down the organisation. Now suddenly if you just disconnect that to a degree and allow all of this interconnectivity going on at the lower level, you have to believe that it is self-correcting, that the truth, the accuracy, the correct answers or responses, correct actions will be taken as a result. And that again is all part of this enormous leap of faith into the social project world. Lionel Valdellon of Reich Incorporated explores the social world we're all part of today, another one of our guest contributors to the book, The Social Project Manager, and considers the ramifications of the explosion of social media on project management. What he says is, projects are now more social than you think, beyond the superficial greetings of hello in the office hallways and much more than using the instant messaging to align on project priorities. These days, when you think of the word social, you think Facebook, you think Twitter, you think LinkedIn, or one of the several hundred niche social networks allow us to connect and communicate with people the world over. Social is indeed everywhere, and it's pervaded everything we touch, including project management. Some people might still think social project management only involves leaving a blog-like comment on a colleague's work within the company cloud tool or chatting with them online to get a status update, but it's much more than that. Because of the impact of social media on the modern workplace, the basic paradigm behind Facebook and Twitter is now infused into every project we manage. Lines of communication are always open and team members are always connected. Informal communication is just as important as formal. Completing projects now involves a whole range of social interactions using tools that support the modern, always connected paradigm that has impacted the society thanks to social media. Effective communication is the greatest challenge for remote teams. In a study conducted by Projects at Work, 33% of survey respondents cited poor communication as the greatest challenge for distributed project teams. It's important to set up your communications platform correctly so projects don't suffer from roadblocks and bottlenecks. So my thoughts here are that effective communication is the greatest challenge for all project teams. I would agree with that, but I would add in the dimensions of culture, of time, of distance, and the whole challenge kind of moves to a much higher level. And one of the key points here, and it really is the primary purpose of the book, The Social Project Manager itself, is that most project managers receive no training, no guidance in this area on how to deal with the challenge of moving effectively and efficiently into the world of the social project manager. So the heart of all this, when we spoke about this leap of faith, we spoke about this act of trust, this belief, it comes into really understanding self-correcting communication. Because without that, none of this works. Example, you've got Joe. Joe over here. There he is. Joe. Joe has a problem. As a result of that problem, using the social connectivity that's available to him, the tools he's got. So he sends a message out which says, I need help. I have a problem, I have a challenge, I have an issue, I have something, I need help. Now as a result of that, there might be Lisa over here. Lisa has an idea that could help him. She comes back with a suggestion, a solution to his problem. Joe asked A, Lisa suggests the answer to A is B, which is fine. So there's her idea. She says, B is what you need, Joe. B will sort it out for you. B will solve the problem for you. And that's fantastic, but that's a direct one-to-one relationship. There's no qualification of that, of the accuracy, etc. But because Joe has pushed this out, he has effectively pushed it out to all of his team members. And so over here, let's say we've got Nigel. And Nigel says, hey, you know what? I think the answer to this one is actually C. And that message goes back to Joe. So Joe's now heard from two people. One, he's heard from Lisa, B is the answer. And two, he's heard from Nigel, C. Now effectively, this can keep going. You could have a third person. Let's call that Colin. Now maybe Colin looks at this and goes, you know what? I think the answer is B plus C. And he explains why. Once that's happened, you've got kind of a rotation of this of issues that go, because Lisa will be talking to Nigel, Nigel will be talking to Colin. It's actually a two-way process. This conversation continues. And what happens in that kind of group discussion is Joe has asked a question. He's had three different answers, or he's had two answers and a third answer, which is a combination of the first two, that may well lead to some clarification. Joe, precisely what did you mean? This problem you've got, can you explain the exact situation? Oh, right, now I understand. At which point Lisa says, you know what? I think Colin is correct. I think Colin is correct because whilst I said it was B, B was correct in this specific situation. But what you've explained to me, Joe, is actually a little different. And therefore I think a combination of B and C is the right answer. At which point Nigel may come in and go, I'm not sure, guys. Just help me understand this, because I still feel C is the right answer. And so the conversation goes on and on, all of which leads to a process where Joe gets a response in parallel from a number of people. There's a conversation that goes around to validate what's going on, and this effectively is what we call self-correcting. Self-correcting communications. It's the power of the collaborative world, because otherwise what happens? What happens in a traditional world is that, oh, there it goes. What happens in a traditional world is that Joe will either go and talk to one or two people one-on-one, or he'll set up a meeting. That might take some time. Maybe not everybody's available, etc. Maybe people are already locked away. And the thing about this kind of world, this social world, is that we all know, whilst it's true, whilst it's really true that we cannot multitask, we can, what I call pulse task, which is we can do lots of things short and sharp, etc. And so we might be in a meeting, we might be listening to a conference call, we might be doing some work, and if something pops up, well, hello Joe, well, Joe's got a problem, why is that? Oh, okay, I have an idea here. It's fast, it's interactive, etc. And this whole concept of this community of people out there to supporting what's going on, supporting the project work, supporting the project manager, engaged in this kind of social project world, then this can lead to this world of self-correcting communication, which therefore brings about faster decision making, more accurate decision making, and greater engagement from people in the project work. In the next episode, the social project team.